You have landed on this page because you're ready to start writing your first book, or have been thinking about writing your first book and you just don't know where to start. My name is Agnes Wanja, author of #1 best-selling book, Addicted to Being Broke. Let's talk about eradicating the poverty mindset. Welcome to my channel. One thing I do ask, please subscribe and let's get started. This video is all about writing your first book. And I'm going to take you through the journey that helped me to start, complete, self-publish, and have a best-selling book. So the major question is why? Why do you want to write this book? To be able to succeed in writing your book, you have to clarify your why. And having a strong why will help you through the process of writing a book, because it can feel like you're not getting anywhere. But if you have a why, it will keep pulling you towards the end to achieve the goal of writing this book. So it's important for you to ask yourself why you want to write this book and have strong whys. So with my whys, one of them was I really wanted my grandma to see my book. So that's something that was really pulling me along to hurry up and write this book so she can get to see it, she can get to read it, and she can get to just be proud of me writing this book. And then the other why was I really wanted my children to learn from my mistakes so that they don't make the same mistakes that I made with regards to financial literacy. Those two whys were strong enough to pull me along, because children don't stay children forever. They grow up, they become adults. So it's being able to capture them whilst they're still children, whilst they're still able to change their habits before it's too late. Define your target reader. This is an important part, but it goes back to what type of book you're writing and why you're writing a book. So when I was writing my book, it was mainly to share my story, and with the hope of helping others so they don't make the same mistakes that I made. So when you think about a target reader for that kind of book, it's so wide, because I've had so many people of different age groups, different backgrounds, even people who didn't think that they did not have financial literacy have read the book and they said, wow, I can't believe how much money I was spending. Since I read your book, we've now been taking note of our expenses and actually reducing our expenses. So there's no target reader per se. So it just depends on what type of book you're writing. But you might be writing a book that is specific to a target market. Write as though you're talking to that person, because that will really help you. And one thing I learned along the way as well is just try and focus on one person. That it might be someone that you know, and you pretend as though you're writing this book to them. It makes it a little bit easier, rather than thinking, oh my gosh, I'm writing this whole book and the whole world is going to see it. What are they going to say? But if you just focus on one person, it helps you to keep writing. Is your book going to inspire, educate, entertain, or all three? So once again, depending on what the book is, it might do all of them. And I believe my book did. And people were, I think I'd say they're a bit entertained with the stories that I told with regards to, I just couldn't believe how much or how broke I was, or how different my story was to other family members when I shared it with my family members. I write about that in the book. And my auntie laughing at me because of my low credit limit on a credit card. So it's little things like that were entertaining, but at the same time there was a lot of education in it, because there's a lot of quotes that I've added to the book. There's a lot of educational points, learning points that I had myself. And also a lot of people say they were inspired by the book and inspired by the courage to tell my story, and how they resonate with the story as well. So those, being able to clarify those few things will help you to narrow down which direction your book is going. From idea to outline, what you really want to do is be able to create something that's going to help you get from the thought of I want to write a book to a simple breakdown of what the book will entail. So brainstorm and capture different concepts. Once again, depending on what your book title is or what your story is that you want to tell or what you want to educate people about, just brainstorm on different aspects of that title, as well as use the AI tools that are available. Research on different books on the topic that you want to write about, which will help you to see what's already there. And it doesn't matter if there's something similar to what you want to write about. What you have to remember is your story, your book will be unique because it's written by you. And if it's coming from you, you're not copying somebody else's work. Although they might have something similar, you're not copying their work. You're just presenting your version of your story forward. So brainstorm on loads of different ideas and then choose a central theme or message. So with mine, when I started writing my book, it really was not about financial literacy. It was just, I wanted to write a book, and I wanted to write a book about my life at the time. But I didn't know that the end product will be based on financial literacy. I would have thought more about resilience or in the ability to challenge myself constantly, to take on new challenges, something along those lines. But as I wrote the book, the main story sort of became that was my main story in my life at the time. So what helped me is I started just writing and sort of building an outline, beginning, middle, and end. So what story am I telling? When I started, it was just about my life. That was the beginning. And then the middle was going to be all the trial and tribulations that I've been through, all the different lessons I've learned that have shaped me. And then the end was going to be the result, who I am now because of what I've been through, where I'll be going to next, but having that conclusion of, because of the beginning and the middle, this is what has happened in the end. And you can use like index cards or your phone to help you. My phone came in very handy. So my notes page on my phone was very, very useful in my writing process. And I used it a lot. So I'll be walking and something will come to my mind. I'm like, yeah, I can put that in the book. I'll just go into my notes page under new book title and just put as many things as I can. And towards the end, I'll give you a big tip that helped me. And it's even helped me with writing my second book. And it makes the process so much quicker. And it's not AI. But as I said, you can use AI. But I don't know how genuine you can get your story using AI. So I don't know because I've not used it myself. But there's a tool on the phone that can help. So I'll tell you about that one towards the end. Now that you've got your outline done, now that you know more about your story or what topic you'll be writing about, you need to start scheduling time. That is going to be the most difficult part, is finding the time to write your book. I used to try and do it in the evening. I used to try and do it first thing in the morning. But what's really good is finding time that you're not distracted. But obviously, having children, having a family, having work, having a partner, there's always things to be done. There's always somebody wanting something from you. So being able to prioritize this is the only way you're going to get it done. So if it's possible, just half an hour in the evening, half an hour in the morning, and you can just say, okay, just 50 words. I'm just going to write 50 words. I'm just going to write half a page. I'm going to write 3 lines every day for sort of 10 minutes. Whatever you can do is better to do something, because this is a process where every little counts. Every little bit you can do is really, really helpful. And as I said, towards the end, I'm going to share a tool that really, really helps me. So, and it's free. It's free. So being able to just dedicate some time to write 100 words a day, 50 words a day, whatever it is you can do, will help you see progress. And once you start seeing the progress, you will feel more motivated to keep going, because you feel like you're getting closer to the end. You're getting closer to finishing the book. And one thing that's important is knowing your word count. So at first, when I started writing, I looked up what's sort of the minimum word count for a book. And it was around, when I checked, it was around 26,000 words, I think it is. And I was just like, oh my days, that is a lot of words. I'm not going to be able to do that. When am I going to, or what, how is it possible? But you know what? I was able to do it, but all I needed to do is break it down. It's 26,000 words, but what about if you just write 50 words today and then 50 tomorrow? And then it's possible. Break it down. And you might want to do a book that's less than that. You might want to do a book that's more than that. All it comes down to, when we sort of started, said, what is the time scale you're giving yourself for this book? And then work out how many words do I then need to write every day or every week or every month. You have to develop a mindset that says, I just want to get to my first draft. I just need to get the first draft done, and not thinking about anything else. Embrace imperfection. Done is better than perfect. And chasing perfection is one of the things that, or one of the reasons why thousands of books have never been completed. Because you're chasing perfection, but you don't know exactly what perfection looks like. Because you have not written this book before. You've not got to the end of it before. You've not been assessed on it before. You've not given it to your audience before. So you don't know what perfection looks like. And you might have written something that's already really, really, really good. But without you setting it free for your audience to read it, you won't know how good it is. So put away perfection for now and just get those words written. And you need to learn to silence your inner critic. Whilst you're writing, so many discouraging words are going to come to you. And this is where building that resilient mindset and speaking positively to yourself and speaking positively about your situation, that's going to help you. This is where it really, really counts. Because when I was writing my book, as I said, I experienced so many different emotions. One, it was emotion of fear, feeling anxious, self-limiting beliefs. All of them were coming at me at once. English is not my first language. You don't even know how to write. How can you call yourself a writer? Who's going to read your book? Everybody's going to know your story. Oh my gosh, your life is so embarrassing. Are you going to share it with everyone? Why would you do that? So many different things are going to come up to stop you on your journey. Don't let it stop you. Keep writing. Keep writing. Because it's fine. Because if you write a book, and so many people have written books and they've not been as successful as they wanted it to be. But the fact of the matter is that book is written and that book is there. The best thing you can do after that is learn from it and write a better book. But without that first book, you have no directions to go in. And without the first one, you probably won't write another one. So you need to get your first book out. You need to get it done. And then keep the momentum. Don't edit whilst you write. This is one of the mistakes that I made. I didn't really know all of these stuff when I was writing my first book. But I did spend a lot of time going back on the first page that I wrote. But you know what? There's going to be plenty of time once you get to the end. Because once you get to the end, you'll know more about what you want your beginning to be. And it's a crazy thing. You literally only know exactly, for me anyway, my experience was, I knew more of what story I wanted to write in the beginning once I got to the end. So focus on writing till you get to the end. And you've got that beginning, the middle, the end. Once you get to the end, it will make everything else so much easier. And it will make you be able to understand what story you're actually trying to tell. And it will help the story flow better once you get to the end, because then you can go back and read over the first page, and when you know the end, you say, actually no, I want the end to include this, so that by the end they understand what I meant. So write, write, write. Don't worry about reading it now, reading the draft or making it perfect. That's not important. The most important thing is to write, write, write. Now you've got to the end. You've got to the end of your word count. You're really, really excited. You need to put the book down. You need to put your manuscript down. Just leave it for a while. Because you know what happens? If you go back and start reading it straight away, you're going to be reading what you think you've written. Whilst if you leave it for a while, you can come back to it and then sort of have a fresh mindset to it. So just let it rest. Go out and celebrate. You've achieved something big already. So many people have not managed to achieve that level of accomplishment, being able to finish your first manuscript. So leave it for a few days or weeks, or even a month if you can. If you're not on a tight timeline, leave it for a little while. And then once you go back to it, it's so important to once again be at a place where you can fully concentrate and just read over your book. And if you have people who can read the book for you as well, absolutely amazing. Before you give it to someone, I was able to give it to some of my work colleagues who really helped me out, and they were able to read it before I could sort of get to the final manuscript. If you have people who can help you, get them to help you. But before that, go over it yourself and just make sure the story flows and the story makes sense. It is a bit hard sometimes because it's so boring to read over your work, but it's important because you know the story you're trying to tell. So you need to make sure that the story is flowing. People understand the beginning, the middle, and the end. And all the bits in between actually fit in the right place. Your editor or somebody else reading it won't really know that. You will. So you just need to make sure you read it. And as I said, it might be another process of 1 page a day. And it might take you a while, but it's better to do that and make sure that you understand. But the only thing when you do, like, let's say 1 page a day, is by the time you come back, you might have forgotten what the previous page was about. So you do need to allocate yourself some time to read it through to make sure the story flows. And that's one thing that I've learned from my next book, that I will just make sure, I think when I finish writing my first manuscript, I will make sure, or my first draft, I will make sure I do like a weekend away somewhere just by myself with the book and just read over it and actually take that time to make sure it makes sense, because I did find it quite a tedious process reading over my work, because in my head I'm like, I know what I've written, I know what's there, but I still had a lot of changes to make. Professional editing, I did get a professional editor. It was online. I think it was a platform called, it might be People Per Hour, something like that. There's loads of platforms where you can find editors for quite a reasonable amount, and some of them charge per word count or charge per hour. So you'll be able to find somebody definitely that can help you. But it's best to get it to a professional editor once you get to the end. Once you've read it, hopefully you've managed to get somebody else to read it, and then you can give it to an editor for the final read, because then it'll save you money having to give it to them and then come back and then go back to them if it's not quite finished. So do leave it for the last step. For me, that's what helped. Once I finished reading it myself, I got my colleagues to read it, and then I was able to give it to a professional editor. So there are many ways to get your book published, but the one that I can tell you about is self-publishing. And it's not as scary as it sounds. So previously, people didn't have the opportunity to be able to self-publish as much as we do have now. There's a lot of platforms now that allow you to publish your own book, which is really helpful. But I think previously it was just a traditional publishing where you use the agents, or like you have to write to them. or look out for when they've got openings for you to submit manuscripts, and then if they like it, they will then take it on. So as I said, I don't know too much about that platform of publishing, but what I do know about is the self-publishing. And what I managed to do is like a hybrid self-publishing method where I used an agent to help me. So they take on your manuscripts and then they format it and then they upload it on the platform for you. So I use the Amazon publishing platform. So you, even though they do it for you, you have full rights. So today I can go into the book, I can change the price of the book, all the money comes to me. They don't get any of the money. You pay them a fee, like an upfront fee, and they basically do their part and then they hand everything over to you. So I just had to do a new like Amazon login specific for the book, and the royalties come to me, but you share it with Amazon, so the platform, because Amazon prints the book for you. So when people order it online, I don't have to do anything. So I've got copies where you can order copies from Amazon for publishers' copies, which are cheaper. They print it for me. I've got copies, which I then sell when I do events, when I do any speaking engagements. I sell my books myself there, and obviously you get to keep all that money. On Amazon, you can have the ebooks, and then you can have the printed books. So the printed books tend to make you more money, from my experience anyway. So when people order online, I believe it's a 60-40 split. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, Amazon do get a share of that, and then you get a share as well, which I think is good. I'm sure there's other ways. You can sell it through your website as well, where once you've got your copies yourself, you can just post it. But what I like about the Amazon platform is it does give you the freedom, and it does create passive income for you, because you don't do anything. Once the book is there, you can do advertising, but you can also advertise it on the Amazon platform. You can do offers on the Amazon platform. You can do it all there. And then once people order your books, money just comes into your account, once a month. And for me, I found that really useful. So even just going to speaking engagement, letting them know the book is available online, and they just go and order the book. Meeting people at events, the book's available online, they can buy it online. But I also always have copies of the book myself, and I sell them at the event. So I find, for me personally, I feel like it's nice to have more control over your own work. So I don't know how the other ways work, but I know with obviously the big publisher, maybe they give you like a big sort of budget, or I don't know how it works. But self-publishing for me, it's worked, and I think it's great. But I think for you, you'd have to research what fits your goal and budget, because you might find that you have a really amazing book and publishers are fighting over it for you. You have to have a look, because it might be a lot of money. So you might want to just have rights over your book, and you decide what you want to do with it, when you want to do with it, how you want to do it, how much you want to sell it for. That's another option. So yeah, I think it's research. You have to do a lot of research, because even the way I found the company that helped me was just through research and working out how to publish a book. The internet's got all the information there. So find out what works best for you. So depending on how you plan on selling your book and promoting your book, it's good to build your author platform. And on the Amazon page, you can do that. They have that there as well. But you can have your own social media pages as well. You can just have a website with a landing page as well. So social media presence helped me to get my book to a #1 bestseller. And I don't have that many followers. But what I was able to do is I was able to tell my followers that my book is coming out on this specific date. And through that, and also like my WhatsApp, my friends, just contacts, family and friends. And I just basically got them to know that my book is coming out on this particular date. I would really appreciate it if you bought your copy on this date. And as well, I informed them it might be available before that date if you see it online, but just purchase it on this particular date, which I believe that's what helped my book become a number one bestseller. Because at the time, because so many people bought the book at the same time, it ranked it quite high up and it had great rankings. And it was amongst some of the greats that I've been listening to and following. So that was really, really nice. And even the company that helped me to publish my book contacted me and they're like, have you seen your book? It's number one. I was like, really? I was like, yeah. They're like, it's number one on, I think, Amazon's bestseller on a new release. So yeah, it was quite shocking, and it was like top 100 on like budgeting books. Yeah, it was good. It was good success. So I was really, really proud of that. And as I said, the social media presence helped me. As I said, I don't have that many followers. So just whoever you have around you, just let them know when you plan to publish your book and get everyone to just buy it at the same time. It will help you. Um, I've got a website. I blog sometimes on my website, but not as much as I should, maybe. And network with other writers and readers. What you will get is maybe a lot of people who promote books contact you on social media, and some of them are really good. Some of them will ask you for money up front to promote your book, but there's also a lot of platforms where writers and readers are able to share their books and get your name out there and just get as many people to read your book, because ultimately that's what you're writing your book for, to help people, maybe to inspire people, to entertain people, but ultimately it's for somebody to read it. So the more people that can read it, the better it is for you, and the more people that can read it, the more feedback you will get. And one thing I'll say is quite entertaining, but don't be surprised that um maybe people close to you will be the ones that are not supporting you as much. Don't be surprised by that. And it was quite funny because I had someone who is a family member actually, and they said to me, oh yeah, obviously your book is really nice, but I'm not going to give it 5 star because then it might just look like it's just fake. And I was like, okay, you liked it, you liked the book, you thought it was great, but you didn't want to give it 5 star. Okay, I'm not going to force you to do that, but a lot of people that I don't even know have read the book, enjoyed it, and given it 5 star. So I would say don't be surprised by the reactions from people close by, but you will get real support. Plan a book launch, as I spoke about in the last slide. Pre-orders, if you can, events, podcasts, depending on how big you want to go with your book release. You need to plan ahead of time. I did quite a few interviews with like local radio channels, a few events I've been called to speak at. So it depends what you want to do. You might just be wanting to write a book just to have your legacy. But if you want to sell a lot of books and get out there, it's important to plan your book launch, a strategy as to how you're going to get all your books out, appearing on podcasts, which is something that I want to do going forward. And then continue marketing after release. The good thing with the Amazon platform that I've found, you can continue promoting your book. You can put your book on offer. So there's a lot of tools available once you self-publish. And think about your next project, which I am thinking about it. I'm writing it. I'm on my second book. I've got quite a lot of words written. I think I've got about 18,000 words. So definitely on the journey to being able to release the second book in the near future. So do look out for that. And I really do wish you the best of luck with your book. And the tip that I said I was going to share towards the end is on your phone, you've got notes. So I don't know if it's the same for Android phones. I've got an iPhone. You've got notes And on notes, there's also a recording button that you can use. So you can record yourself as you speak and it will write it down on the notes. I found it as one of the ways to really speed up your word count, and you're just talking what it is you want to write and it will write it in the notes page, and then you can just copy that notes page and email it to yourself, and then you can paste it on your Word document. Mind blowing. It was absolutely amazing, especially for my second book. It's allowed me to get so much further, so much quicker. So do explore that. And I hope that tip helps. If you do have any other tips, please do share in the comments. It can help somebody else. And as I said, good luck on your future projects. Writing your first book will be a great, great accomplishment. It's important to remember it's a marathon and not a sprint. Stay patient and persistent. You will get there if you keep trying, if you keep going and you don't stop, you don't give up, give yourself a deadline. I've got a video on setting smart goals, which will probably help you get your deadline ready. And it doesn't matter if you're not able to meet that deadline and you have to postpone it, as long as you keep going. I've been Agnes Wanja. Thank you for joining me. Now pick up your pen and start your book today. If you're new to my channel, we do a lot of personal development stuff here. So do subscribe, do share, do like, and help my channel grow. Thank you.